Namo Narayana, and welcome back. We're reading today chapters 23 and 24 of the Ramayana. Chapter 23 is called Lord Shiva's Hermitage. When the sun rose at dawn, the great sage Viswamitra told the descendants of Kakushta sleeping on the bed, "O Rama, the darling son of Kausalya, the early dawn has come out. Lion among men, perform your morning rituals, please." Those kings who were great men, hearing the pleasing words of the saint, bathed and offered water oblations and chanted the divine prayer. Those greatly valorous ones, after performing the morning rituals with great joy, went to the sage, saluted him, and got ready for further journeying. Then those two heroic ones traveled further and reached the auspicious confluence of the Saryu River with the river Ganges, which goes in three ways. They saw there the hermitage of contemplative ascetics who were doing penance for thousands of years. Becoming extremely happy to see those blessed hermitages, Rama asked the great soul, "Whose blessed hermitage is this? Which great celebrated saint lived here? Both of us are curious and inquisitive to know about this." Hearing those words, the great sage smiled and said, "O Rama, I will tell you who lived in this hermitage. When the god of love had a body, he was called by the name of Kama by wise people. He, with naughty intention, once braved with Shiva, the god of gods, Lord Shiva himself, who was doing deep penance according to rules here, and Lord Shiva roared at the god of love disapprovingly at this spot. The angry Shiva saw him with his third eye, which destroyed the evil-minded love god, and all his limbs fell from his body. That great soul, Lord Shiva, completely burned down Kama's body, and Kama became one without body by the great anger of the god of gods. Rama, thereafter, he became very famous at Anga, and the place where he gave up his body is known as Anga Desa. His hermitage is blessed, and from olden times the sages, who were his disciples, did penance here. Sin can never occur in this place. O Rama, who is auspicious to look at? Let us spend the night here, which is in between two holy rivers, and then we will cross the river. Best among men, we will take a bath, chant our prayers, do the oblations in fire, and enter this divine hermitage completely purified so that we can live here comfortably." Those sages with their distant sight perceived this discussion, and they became extremely happy. On their approaching, they gave them water to wash their feet, water to drink, and then offered great hospitality to the sage. Then later, they accorded hospitality to Rama and Lakshmana. Sage Viswamitra applauded them all for their great hospitality. Those saints with a balanced mind did rituals and meditation of the dusk. They were followed by Rama and others. Then those sages who observed good penance took the guests into their hermitage. The guests stayed in the hermitage of Shiva there comfortably. That eminent observer of Dharma, Sage Viswamitra, entertained those attractive sons of the king with delightful stories. Thus ends chapter 23. Chapter 24, Saryu-Ganga, Confluence, and Thataka Forest. Those destroyers of their enemy, Rama and Lakshmana, did their fresh morning oblations, and Sage Viswamitra completed his morning rituals. They arrived at the river bank, keeping the sages in front of them. All those great souls who were doing combined penance positioned the auspicious boat near the shore and told like this: "Please get into the boat along with the princes, and go on your prosperous way without any time lag." Viswamitra said so be it to those sages, and showed his reverence to them in return. He, along with the princes, crossed the river, which was going to join the sea. Then, in the middle of the journey, the intelligent Rama, along with his brother, heard a roaring sound similar to the sound of water gushing out, and was curious to know its significance. Rama, in the middle of their journey, asked the sage, "What is that great noise resembling the gushing of water?" Hearing the query, that soul of Dharma started telling about the significance of that sound. "O Rama, who is a tiger among men, on top of Mount Kailasa, once, Lord Brahma created a lake by his mind, and that was called Manasa Saras. From that lake flows this river, Saryu, which surrounds the town of Ayodhya. Since it originates from a lake, it was called Saryu. Since it flows from the leg of Rama, it is considered a sacred river. This gushing noise is the sound of river Sarayu joining the river Ganges, and Rama, please offer your salutations to these rivers. After saluting these two rivers, those virtuous and agile princes reached the southern shore. That son of the great king belonging to the Ikshvaku dynasty, seeing the horrible and uninhabited forest, inquired to the sage, "Alas, this forest, which is difficult to cross, is full of crickets and other insects, and is full of brutish predators and vultures, and is filled with horrendous sounds. Different types of vultures are screeching with fierce sounds, and is shining with lions and tigers and elephants. What is this wretched forest with trees such as the dava from the mimosa family, and the arjuna tree, and there's another type of arjuna tree, and the bilva, and the tenduka, and the begonia tree, and the badari tree?" The great sage replied, "O son of Kakusha dynasty, please hear about this wretched forest. This area was once populated by ordinary people, which was constructed by devas and called Malada and Karusha. Due to the killing of Varutha, who was a Brahmin, Indra was stained by human excrement and filth. Great sages and those who were rich in penance started bathing Indra by taking water in a pot for removing all the filth. When all that filth from his body was put in this earth, devas became glad. After getting rid of his filth and his hunger, Indra became happy with this landfill and gave a matchless boon to this place. This place of residence of ordinary people would become famous in the world because it got all the dirt from Indra's body, and it is known as Malada and Karusha. The devas were excited about hearing this from Indra, who was the controller of Paka. The devas were pleased on seeing the honor accorded by Indra to this place. O Rama, that lord of the common people of Malada and Karusha for a long time was affluent, and people were happy with plenty of grains and wealth. Then this area was occupied by a yakshi called Thataka, who could assume any form she liked, who had the strength of 1,000 elephants and was a clever one, and who was the wife of a great Sunada, and whose son was Maricha. The Rakshasa Maricha had round shoulders, a huge head, a broad mouth, a gigantic body, and mammoth shape, and troubled all people. Rama, that Thataka, who is of a bad character, daily destroys Malada and Karusha, and also the people living here. She who blocks this way lives about 3 miles from here, and because of that it is called Thataka's forest. Some action needs to be taken. Depending only on your strength, you have to kill this evildoer and free this province from its great misery. Nobody has the strength to enter into this forest, which you are seeing, destroyed by the Yakshi, who is invincible. So please make this area habitable again. I have told you the entire story of how the Yakshi Thataka destroyed this forest and how she is making it inhabitable even today." Thus ends chapter 24. I was recently reading a mystery story by the great John Connolly. If you haven't read him, he's really cool. He actually used to live here in Portland, Maine. It was recommended by a friend locally who used to be his neighbor. Purely beside the point. But he has these very elaborate stories that are very spiritual. They involve spirituality of some sort, and religion, and the mysteries, and there's all these intricate parts, like a good mystery story, which I love. And I'm reading this, and this thought came to me of John Connolly, and how this is a story with all these little things happening, which is fine, it's an epic, but they don't really connect up. We move on to something and you never hear about what happened before. We move on to something else and you never hear about anything that happened before. There's no link. It's an editorial problem going into my list of many of them that I have with this story. Now, on the other hand, what it is doing is laying the groundwork for the type of character. Let me rephrase that, for the character building of Rama. That we're essentially doing. And here is Rama coming upon this forest, and this event is showing us what a great person he is. I assume, maybe not, maybe something will happen, maybe there'll be a learning moment, but it's a show versus tell learning, getting my words confused here, trying to show this. This is a show versus tell thing in writing, which all of us who are writers always say this is what you need to do. But I also think someone like Sean Connery has it right. You tie it all together so it flows. Otherwise, it just becomes these little vignettes, and it's like a Monty Python's Flying Circus episode. But that's what this is doing, and it's funny. Here I was thinking of Sean Connery, and then as I'm trying to explain it to all of you, I suddenly realized what this is really about. It's character building through events. They just don't link up the way I would prefer as a writer, but oh well. So your comments, your thoughts, all that stuff down below as we work our way through this. We're about a third of the way through book 1. There's 77 chapters total, and the next video will bring us into chapter 25, in case you're curious. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.